Hey, what's up? Welcome to a differently angled Dre's Geek Philosophy podcast. We are at different angles, both on Twitch and on Facebook. We're in a different studio tonight because executive producer Sam Zia is busy, so he will not be joining us tonight. Mm-hmm. So it's just going to be me and Pete. It'll just be the two of us tonight. We're here at the Secret Podcast Studios. So let me do our actual formal intro for our iTunes listener.
iTunes listener? Yep.
Love you, Rick Mears. And also get my cough out of my system.
Fart.
Let me leave a mark for Sam. Fart. Live from the city of Los Angeles, this is Dre's Geek Philosophy, the Monday edition, the 34th episode. 30. We've been doing this for 8.5 months.
Yep.
It is madness, my friend.
Mm-hmm. Like what you said earlier, like we could have had a child by now.
There could have been a child. There was literally a child born the second episode.
Yep.
Executive producer Sam Zia's child was born. The podcast is 1 week older than Sam's son, Joseph Jojo Zia.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. It's insane when you stop and think about it.
It really is, man.
Like this is the longest I've ever stayed with a personal project.
Oh, really?
I've never considered myself to be a creative person. I am a consumer of creative product, obviously.
Yeah.
That is what I do. I consume. Mm-hmm. But I've never been a person who can create. That's why a lot of the stuff that I draw... Hold on. Let me shoot these things out. So try to get rid of that little menu over there on Twitch. I've tried to be creative. Because this month on my Facebook memories, it keeps coming up that I did a blog series. Because I have attempted this whole blog thing. I've attempted to express myself in different mediums using the internet. Because now that's a thing you can do. Yep. That's a thing you're supposed to do nowadays. You're supposed to use. Many shitty people use the internet to express themselves. Yeah. And sometimes they express shitty thoughts.
They do. Well, I think a lot of people express shitty thoughts because you're hiding behind
the wall of anonymity.
Yeah.
We are not hiding behind a wall of anonymity. You can clearly see my face. Hey, Twitch. Hi.
It's like I forget what it was called, but I think 2-3 months ago there was this app that everyone was going crazy for, where you had to post. You had to make an account. And you had a post like, oh, ask me, you could tell me anything.
Oh, saying there's a Sahara, right?
Yeah, and it was anonymous. Like, that was such a weird trend. I don't know why people got so into that.
I did notice that. A friend of the show, Lamar Harris, he totally got into that. He was like, roast me, or do whatever. And then it's like, not really much happened.
Yeah.
It wasn't really that big of a thing. I don't know. It came and went.
I heard some horror stories that people were getting this.
Death threats or sexual things of a sexual nature.
But the thing was that people were dumb because they were like, it's anonymous, but you still had to know the person because how else did you find it? This is someone you know who's saying something really awful or terrible or whatever to you. So it's just creepy, man.
I don't understand it, and your face is completely covered on Twitch right now.
Oh, is it?
I don't know. Well, no. I mean, it's up to you. I mean, if you want to be the person on Inside Edition when you have your face covered. I saw all the things. I'm here to confess all the terrible things I saw. But getting back to the original point, Dre loves tangents. I've attempted to be creative on the internet before. It was I want to say it was 6 years ago when I continually tried. Well, 6-7 years ago, when I had a lot more free time on my hands, when I was working for Nintendo, take a drink. Got to hit all the staples of the show. You got it. It's a part of the process. And I was like, oh, people can tell me I should be blogging and I should be tweeting. I should be doing all these things because I have all these ridiculous thoughts that are in my head. And I'm pretty okay at expressing myself. Yeah. I'm not going to say I'm the best. I've proven many times on this show I'm not the best at expression. Oh, no. I can be funny, but not I can be eloquent at times. If I'm organized, I can clearly be eloquent. But I tried the blogging thing, but somehow my inherent laziness always kicks in. And I can't keep up with something on a regular basis many times. It's there a cough button on this studio? No, there isn't. I think I established that earlier, and I just whatever.
Well, I think it helps that we have to come out here. And it's
This has become a routine. Yeah. Where a lot of those other things were very much solo ventures. Where like it was just me trying to blog, me trying to draw every day, me trying to do something. Where it was completely reliant on just me, and so like I could totally fuck up on me. Like, oh, I can let me down.
Yeah,
I'm totally okay with letting me down. But like, I got you coming out with me every Monday. We have Sam Zia volunteering his space, these studios. Mm-hmm. We have this thing that we've established now for 34 weeks. It's pretty crazy that we've been doing this for this long. I'm shocked that I've been able to keep up. That there's been a lot of times I've been behind the scenes where like I have no idea what we're going to talk about some weeks. I mean, up until like 5 minutes before the show, I'm like, what the hell are we talking about today? Because the whole creative content, that's a tough part. Yeah. It's a lot tougher than I thought. I mean, those first few weeks were really easy because I already had a whole bunch of stuff like saved up over years of like me and Sam getting drunk and talking about, hey, we need to do a show. You and I sitting around not getting drunk at your comic shop talking about we need to do a show. Yeah. It's like I know you and your friend Rudy, oh, Dre needs to come in and be the voice of our podcast. I'm like, shit, I ain't just a voice. I am a podcast. I've been sitting on this podcast for 5 years.
Well, it's like what do they say? Like a musician, like their first album, it's like years in the making, and after that, it's kind of like, oh, now what?
Now, that's the terrifying. That's why the infamous sophomore slump of a lot of these artists, like, oh, they put their heart and soul, their whole life into that first album, like you said. And
after that,
they're like, oh, that's what I had.
Yeah.
Shot my wad.
Oh, you want more?
You want more? I don't have any more. I don't have any more. I was checking to see if there's any comments on Twitch. Twitch viewers, we were not going to be really able to see her. Yeah, we have a crazy setup today. We are in a much smaller studio. Like we are in a closet of a studio, and I'm actually okay because as usual, we're Ocean's 11ing this because we are in a secret podcast studio where we don't belong. We don't belong here. It's pirate pod. It's not pirate radio, but it's pirate podcasting.
Yeah, well, it's
close enough.
Modern version, right?
Hey. Mark Maron got started the exact same way. He pirate podcasted as well. He recorded at a studio he wasn't supposed to be at either.
Did he did he brag about it?
No, he talked about it later. I mean, now he's a huge success. Yeah. I was telling you, the most successful podcast in the world is in a garage in Highland Park.
Yeah, isn't it crazy? Like, didn't he have Barack Obama in his garage?
Yes, yes. He had the sitting president 2 years ago. Yeah, over 2 years ago, the sitting president. Barack Obama flew into the Rose Bowl, caused traffic all around my house. Thankfully, I don't think I was home. I think I was out working. And yeah, they friggin' motored him over from friggin' the Rose Bowl over into Highland Park. They set up snipers like the day before. They cordoned off whatever street Mark Maron lives on. They cordoned that whole area off. And Barack Obama came in. Hey, how you doing, Mark? We're going to talk about healthcare. How you doing?
Crazy. I don't think there's ever been snipers in Highland Park before.
Or not professional ones.
Yeah,
I'm sure there's been plenty of unprofessional ones way back in the day. Highland Park now the home of hipsters and coffee bars and all sorts of curios and tapas places. I'm sure back in the day, back in the 80s, it was very different.
It's funny you actually mentioned that. A friend of mine did an art show in Highland Park over the weekend, and she had posted about how like she hadn't been there since she was a kid, and that was back in the 80s. And she was like, "Oh, it's so different now. It's like it's a family or type of place." And the first comment was like, "Yeah, I know, right? Sad."
Some people are like, "Man, this place isn't hood like it used to be. Yeah. This used to be a place where you can get shot."
I thought that was hilarious. I just think that's so weird.
I love driving up and down for what street? I believe it's Colorado on that end, because there's a Trader Joe's over there, and there's an Oinkster, and there's all kinds of places over there. Yeah. The taco spot, and man, a lot of places. The Kogi truck is in that area, not on Colorado, but being an addict like I am, I know exactly where it is.
In Highland Park.
In Highland Park, Tuesday nights between 6 to 9. I know exactly where it is. Hey, Rick Mears, what's up, buddy? I was just talking about how you're our only iTunes listener. Ha ha. As far as I know, he's the only consistent iTunes listener. He like I was telling you in the pre-show, he's the one who anxiously awaits every Tuesday morning when it pops up on his podcast feed. Rick Mears, Show contributor Rick Mears. He was contributing some ideas to me a week or two ago.
Oh, nice.
Show contributor. He also like he has joined the ranks of Irv Danupatampa and Kiat Fam as show contributors. People who contribute to the show. I will always call them show contributors. They're not just listeners, but they help me out. Because like I was saying, I am creatively bankrupt most of the time. Not in a bad way, but I'm just like I'm not a creative guy.
Yeah.
I have a way with words, and that's about it.
That's about it.
But the one thing that I am good at, video games.
Video games. Yeah.
And last week, a big game came out. Destiny 2, a game that... your jacket, your show contributor jacket is it's on the Pony Express, so it's gonna take a while to get to Sacramento. Destiny 2 has come out. It's a big, humongous game. And of course, I know you're not much of a gamer, my friend. So this game is a very polarizing game. Like many, a lot of entertainment things, there are a lot of polarizing subjects, and this game is also extremely polarizing for those of you who don't play games. This is a game made, if you ever heard the game Halo, the guys who made that game, they left Microsoft. They went to kind of go independently make their own game. They teamed up with a major publisher. I guess it would be almost kind of like the Diamond Comics distributor of video games is this company Activision, where they kind of control everything right now. They're the evil empire. And so they made this game called Destiny. It's like all of their big ideas, everything they were saving in their pockets, they didn't use for Halo. Like, oh, here are cool ideas. We're going to use them all in this game. And it came out 3 years ago, this original Destiny game. And either you loved the game or you absolutely fucking hated it. If you go on the Destiny Facebook page, you will see in the comments either pure love or a lot of absolute abject hate. People you have an opinion if you play the game for any length of time, you have an opinion of it one way or another. And then my opinion always of this game has always been, it's great when you're playing with your friends. It's an amazing game to play with your buddies. From a technical aspect, the way it was crafted, like much in the way, if a comic book is drawn extremely well and written extremely well, oh man, you have some good stuff in it. It's extremely well crafted. They've taken their time to create this world. You really feel like a freaking superhero. You are just like blasting aliens. Everything feels fluid and fresh and awesome. You feel powerful, like when you sock a freaking person in the face with the guy. You have all these awesome weapons. You have giant rocket launchers and heavy machine guns and freaking automatic rifles and like these cool sniper rifles. All these cool things that you can do. But inherently, the gameplay sometimes can get very repetitive because then, there's a better weapon I need to go get. Oh, I need to keep finding more stuff. And it's this, and much like a lot of these cell phone games, it's this grind for loot. You have to keep playing. If you want to get advanced, you have to keep playing. But unlike the phone games, you don't have to pay to get better. But on this game, you have to invest a lot of time. And I've already invested 3 years into the other one. And they have an app where you can track everything. I swear, I looked up how many hours I played that game, and it was a disturbing number. I think it was quantified in days.
Oh man!
Like, out of the last 3 years, I've dropped like a good 60 days out of the last 3 years worth of playing the game. It was pretty horrifying. Me as Kiat Fam show contributors, your friends or your the thing when I was working at GameStop last year, I kept telling people, how is this Destiny game? I will tell you, the only way you can effectively play this game was you have a good group of friends or a good group of assholes to play with. You have to have people who you can go through some shit with, because the game can be very rewarding, but it can also be very punishing. Because you're kind of reliant on random number generators. That's like we'll always say RNG. That's a term within gaming. Random number, because everything happens randomly. It's like literally going back to D&D. Everything is a dice roll. It's like, okay, you have 0.02 chance of getting this cool item. So you have to keep doing this one exercise over or one event over and over. And maybe it'll drop. And so you're constantly doing the same thing. You're trying to find a way to try to manipulate that random number generator into like, please fall in my favor. So like, a lot of times we were playing to RNGesus. that is a term within gaming. Like, and not just this game, but many games where you're relying on this random number to like fall upon. Okay. Did I get am I gonna get? There was a rocket launcher in the first game called the Gallarhorn. This is like the exhibit or the Pimp My Ride of rocket launchers. It would fire a rocket that when that rocket exploded, many other smaller rockets would come out of it. And it was a homing rocket.
That's awesome.
So it's literally a freaking... It's the exhibit. It's like, yo, dog, I heard you like rockets at that freaking home. How about we're going to put some rockets at home inside the rocket homes? Like, exhibit is right there. Hell yeah. Boom. And, like, it was the most powerful weapon in the game. Because it did crazy, because it would do crazy rocket launcher damage. And then all these, you see these little rockets come out. Hi. Bah, 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 bah.
Damn.
It was amazing. It literally broke the game.
No.
So, like, we're like, oh, if you were going to play in a lot of these group things, people say, oh, you have to have that rocket launcher if you want to play with us. Or you're holding the group behind. It's like, oh, man, that's like, instead of helping someone to get one of these things, it's like, oh, no, you can't play with us unless you have all the best weapons. It's like, it was very random. But the game, like, inherently, yes, I still inherently love it because it just feels, you feel awesome when you're playing it. Like, when things are going good. Like, right now, like, me and all my friends, we're playing it right now. It came out last Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Or actually, technically, last Wednesday. And we're all loving it. They fixed a lot of the like little nagging things about the game, like that were pretty. A lot of little things that'd be annoying to people who've played it a long time, because that's the cool thing about modern gaming. Like that original game, there were annoying things, but they did kind of try to fix things, because now they can send you updates through the patches. They patch it over, and then they constantly made lots of changes throughout the game. And now it's like they really so they sent out this new version. Like that was like, because this game was supposed to be like, oh, they would just keep making expansions. They just add content. That was one of the main reasons I wanted to jump on this game, because this game you'd go on with that same character for 10 years. Like, we'll just keep making expansions. But at some point they're like, no, we need more money. So then they wanted to ditch the older systems, because they had made it for the current PS4 and the Xbox One, but they also made it for the PS3 and the Xbox 360, which kind of, from a technical standpoint, really limited what they could do, because they had to make it work on both. But then they cut loose the shackles of the older ones. Now they've made a much better game where they no longer have the technical limitations. They're trying to make a game that worked on both. Now they just made a game that works on just the I got a text. They made a game that works just on the PS4 and the Xbox One, and then everything, it feels a lot better. And then they addressed a lot of these like nagging issues that one of these days I'm going to get my Destiny buddies on the show here. So I found that there's a way I can add people on Facebook Live.
Yeah. You can, I think you can do it.
They have to be on live at the same time. They have to be on and accept an invite or whatnot. So it's like, oh, cool. I can just bring them on via Facebook. That sounds cool. Because I saw a friend of mine do that on Facebook the other day. She's like, I'm like, how does she have a guest? How do you do that? I immediately went to Google.
No. Yeah, there's a good website too where you can actually add a bunch of stuff. You can add like names, and you can add.
What?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
This is what I get for my laziness. See, I'm inherently lazy. Like I said, you always show up beside you. I feel like if I would be letting you and Sam down if I didn't show up every Monday. No. And then there's a number of listeners who are dedicated, like my buddy Rick Mears, where I feel like a lot of people would be disappointed if I stopped doing this. So now it's like, that is my motivation to continue. Like, I have this, like, okay, I'm treating this kind of like a job. Mm-hmm. I'm like, every Monday night I have to come here to the secret studio, bring you along, we meet Sam here, and we do the show. Yeah. And so that's like kind of, I feel like that's like my obligation now. Like, I feel obligated to do this now. And I got to keep up coming up with content every week, and I struggle, and it hurts, because I want to do good. I want to do good. So, last night. Speaking of, if we're gonna get into sad and depressing topic, let's talk about last night's Rick and Morty.
Oh man!
See, still managed to get that segue off. Yeah, yes. Man, I watched it this morning, but please give us your thoughts.
The darkest episode they've done. Like,
this is the darkest season.
He said from the get-go, right? From this season.
This is the darkest season.
And Cartoon Network, they pulled it off, man, because all week we thought it was like they're going to go to Atlantis.
They kept promoting it. Oh, God, the freaking... the cleverness of this fucking show, man. And if you don't watch Rick and Morty, I'm sorry. You really... if you're not a person who enjoys Rick and Morty, you need to reorganize your priorities in your entertainment, my friend. Man!
Yeah. They teased. They had no idea what we were getting this season.
Yeah,
this week.
This week, so all last week, all week they're showing. It's an episode. Rick and Morty go to Atlantis. So they're going to go to Atlantis. It's gonna be a fun adventure in Atlantis. And nope, we do not get an Atlantis. We get something that teases in Atlantis. Then all of a sudden, boom, we're at the fucking Citadel of Ricks.
Yeah,
something like this, which apparently has been being rebuilt.
Yeah, and I thought they were all dead.
That was my impression. Yeah. If you take a giant citadel of Ricks,
drop it into a prison.
I mean, just jam it right in there. Literally, like he jammed in there and went to go take a shit. I thought they were all dead or captured. Apparently, they must have found some more of that green juice and boop, got that thing out of there. My God. Yeah. Like you got to see really into this other world. Like it was a different world of Rick and Morty where you got to see on the show. For those of you who do not watch the show, Rick and Morty, the super scientist, and his idiot grandson. Apparently they're infinite because there's infinite universes, infinite timelines or whatever. Oh, I'm the infinite Rick. Yeah. I can just go grab another. Yeah. If my granddaughter dies, I can just go grab another one. Yeah. And so, like, apparently because they're all super smart, they a lot of them decide, hey, let's all get together.
And start the city.
The city, but it really went in depth into the city because, like, not every Rick is true. Because I was under the impression before the other times they'd showed the Citadel, like, all the Ricks were treated equal. But no, this is a society. Even though they are all super intelligent Ricks, some were treated less than others.
Some are just like blue-collar workers.
Blue-collar workers working in a cookie factory, pulling on a lever.
Did you see that? It was, who was it? What's his name? Parks and Rec, he was the other, Ron.
Oh, really?
What was his name? I don't remember his name. It's this cowboy. Like,
Sam Elliott.
He was the voice of the commercial for the Simple Rick.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No fucking way.
Yeah, he did the voice of Simple Rick.
Oh my God, the Simple Rick! Oh, that's fucking amazing. I didn't even realize that. I saw that. I just felt like, oh my God, this is like an all Justin Roiland episode.
Yeah.
The poor guy just sitting there in ADR, freaking like, I gotta keep going back and forth doing this and this. Oh fuck everything. I have to do all these different Ricks. But man, it just got darker and darker.
It picked on the election. Like, it picked on, like, just racism in general. Like
racism, classism. Yeah. It freaking hit all these notes.
Yeah.
It's just, this show is amazing.
Yeah. Like, it was super dark.
And it's one of the few times there was some continuity. Because usually the show, I mean, there's a thin continuity that they kind of follow. Because I really feel like in the first season there was no continuity. It was like, fuck it, we're just here going on super science adventures. Fuck everything. Who gives a fuck?
Well, I think it's probably because a lot of those Adult Swim shows, they don't know if they're coming back. So they're just like...
Yeah, that's true. So
do whatever.
They did 10 episodes of, like, Who Gives a Fuck?
Yeah, going back to like Adventure Bros, they killed them at the end of the season, the first season.
They did kill them. That is true. If you've never watched Adventure Bros, that's another awesome cartoon.
And so it's kind of like,
and a cartoon for adults.
Yeah.
So, adults like us.
Yeah, but it's crazy because Rick and Morty, like almost every episode, it's like a whole new thing. There's just...
It's like this onion that keeps fucking... You keep opening... I use that metaphor a lot, but like it is an onion. You keep tearing open this show, and like it gets deeper and deeper. And I was watching it this morning, and I texted you halfway. I'm like, oh, I know what Morty that is. It's such and such Morty from season 2. Yeah. I know what it is. And then I was right. I was right. Yay! I'm good at picking up clues and understanding facts. See, I'm not a creative person. I'm a detective. Apparently, I've missed my calling in life. I see patterns and I point them out.
So that's good. That set up. We only have 3 episodes left, right?
Yeah, we're tearing through, man. Even after having last week off, we're tearing through. Yeah, there was no episode last week. That's why we didn't mention Rick and Morty last week.
So it's like they're saying. I don't know what they're saying up. I mean, like,
I feel like we're gonna get another like giant, crazy cliffhanger leading us to another 1.5, 2-year hiatus. And unfortunately, I feel like that's the relationship we have with a lot of these Adult Swim shows.
Yeah.
Like they're high quality and creatively, but it takes them because they're really good quality shows. It takes them forever to make them. And also, apparently, forever to animate them. In the case of the Venture Brothers, they have to go find some poor Korean studio. So, like, hey, who's the cheapest group of people who can draw this?
Well, and the other thing, too, is that it's kind of unheard of. With these Adult Swim shows, the whole season is written by, like, 3 guys or 2 guys.
Yeah.
And
it's not an entire team like a lot of TV shows or producers, or like each person writes a different episode. Like,
yeah, it's just
friggin' Venture Brothers. It's just Jackson Public and Doc Hammer.
Yeah.
Friggin' Rick and Morty. I mean, they have writers, but I mean, a lot of this comes from Justin Roiland, the voice of Rick and Morty, and freaking Dan Harmon, and they do have a team of writers, and I think that's the only reason why they managed to come back, because they found we need mediators. I feel like the writers on that show are actually more like mediators. Yeah. Like, Dan, you're insane. Stop. We watched the documentary. You have problems. You're super creative, but you also have super problems.
Yeah. The thing about Rick and Morty is so crazy, because I was watching this marathon the other day, and sometimes like the B story is just so interesting, where you don't realize that, like, oh, those are the two really good episodes. You think, oh no, that was just one episode.
Yeah,
because there's like these two really interesting stories going on.
There's a couple different. Yeah, like I rewatched the. Which one did I rewatch? I rewatched the one where where Rick sent Jerry and Beth to marriage counseling. Oh. And that B story was way better than whatever the A story was with Rick and Morty.
That was a Tiny Rick, right?
That was Tiny Rick. Oh wait,
yeah, right?
That see what I just illustrated exactly what you were talking about. I totally forgot that the A story was fucking awesome with Tiny Rick, but you had this other really good B story of freaking they're codependent. Yeah. These people are from Earth, a planet named after dirt.
Yeah. Like, because I saw the Meeseeks episode recently, and the A story is when they went to fight the giant.
That's right.
And King Jellybean.
Like, King Child Molester Jellybean. No, we must leave him the way we remember him. The freaking and the fucking cuts at the end, dude. Yeah. Fucking so good.
Oh, dude.
The little fucking whatever they're called.
The bumpers.
The bumpers at the end of the very end.
Oh man, the premiere for season 2 when they messed with time.
Yeah.
When they was I had never seen that bumper. Like,
really?
And I saw the other day where they the cop from and they just beat up freaking Albert Einstein.
They beat up Albert Einstein. Don't fuck with time. And Albert Einstein says, "I will fuck with time. E equals MC squared."
That's so good.
Fucking died. Oh, so amazing. The show just. I cannot express enough. Like, if you don't watch Rick and Morty, go on Hulu. I think it's on Hulu. I believe all of it's on Hulu. Yeah. If you have some on-demand service, check your on-demand service. Or like, I frequently download Rick and Morty episodes on my DirecTV all the time. We have no less than 24 episodes of Rick and Morty on our DVR, so I can just randomly press one.
Nice.
Because there was one I really wanted to watch the Purge episode. Where they go to a planet which they follow the rules of the Purge. One day a year, they fucking kill each other. The other 364, they're peaceful. Right? Everything's good. Here, have some free candy. Hey, old timer, I bet you're really a fucking killer. Yes, the blood time is. Oh, the harvest is coming tonight. I loved all the different names they had for it.
Yeah.
Like sometimes they call it the blood time. I was discussing it with some of my Destiny buddies the other night. We were sitting there, we were just laughing, we were just thinking about the show. We were sitting there laughing our asses off. That's how much I enjoy the show. All we have to do is talk about it, and I will start laughing uncontrollably. Like Rick, freaking the hive mind voice. The voices they get, freaking Christina Hendricks from Mad Men. She was the voice of the freaking Unity.
Unity, yeah.
A hive mind that was possessing people, but she wouldn't possess Rick because he was fascinating. And they were together. The hive mind was his girlfriend.
He was banging a planet.
And I always laugh, I'm like, yeah, get me a bunch of redheads. I'll get all the redheads. And then fill the stadium with dudes who look slightly like my father. And he's on a hang glider. He flew in. Go, son. Like, and that's the thing. I never noticed it before, and I rewatched the episode, and you just hear in the background, "Go, son. Go, son." They're gonna all these guys who look like his dad, gonna cheer him on while he fucks a shitload of redheads.
Oh,
it's the insane. And yeah, Rick is, and then here's Rick has gone like really dark.
Yeah.
Like the first couple seasons, he was just like uncapped chaos, but now it's just pure darkness.
Yeah. Well, especially we find out, but then like last week or 2 weeks ago with the toxin, we find out that like he considers like caring for Morty as being bad.
Yeah.
like that's the one thing when he was like, "Oh, I'm healthy," but he had no problem shooting Morty in the leg.
Yeah. Caring for Morty was toxic.
Yeah.
This show is on a different fucking level. Like this show is on another psychotic level. It's madness.
See, I've tried to. I just have to get through it. That show Gravity Falls on
Disney.
Disney XD.
I've heard of that. That one's supposed to be like really good. It's like the new Phineas and Ferb. That was another like subversively.
So Justin Roiland, like his buddy, created that show.
Oh really?
And so like there's like these weird parallels where like Gravity Falls can kind of exist in the same universe as Rick and Morty.
Oh, what the hell?
There's like these YouTube videos where they show you like the crossovers. Like apparently in the talking episode, when Rick's running around, there's like a dead monster in the background, and it's from Gravity Falls.
Ha!
So it's kind of cool. Like
that is curious. Okay. Oh, we have a comment on. We have someone who's watching. I'm guessing it's Chanel because it's a very long thing. We can't see the comments on Twitch. I'm so sorry. We're having studio issues today. We have tiny studio, tiny Rick, tiny studio.
And that's another thing. I love how like it's so like fourth wall breaking. Or like next week's episode, they said like, oh, we're not doing.
I know, that made me so sad. That made me so sad because I was like, I was talking about that last night with my friends on PlayStation playing Destiny. Oh man, I can't wait for this season's interdimensional cable. Yeah. Like, oh, I take all the bad memories out. No, we're doing this instead of interdimensional cable. Like, no, I love the improv. That was like them improvising ridiculous channels and ridiculous shows. Two brothers fighting Mexicans with hot sauce and tomatoes. Two brothers.
You can hear them laughing.
Yeah, they're trying to improvise all these things and they're laughing as they're saying them. Jan Michael Vincent. We need only Jan Michael Vincent.
So this week we're getting.
Next week we're getting all of Morty's bad memories. You get to go on an adventure of like all the awful things that Morty has seen, but Rick had to remove from his brain.
See, that's another thing too. I totally forgot that when the Jelly Bean episode, like afterwards, like Rick knew what Jelly Bean had did to Morty, man, because he straight up killed him.
Yeah, he freaking put his arm back through the portal and fucking blasted King Jelly Bean. Bah! Insanity. Yeah. You know what else is insane? I'm gonna tell you what else is insane. You know what is crazier than Rick and Morty?
What's that?
You know what's pure madness right now? Because yesterday, football season started.
Yes.
And we don't really talk a lot of sports. I love sports. Uh-huh. Sam Zia, executive producer Sam Zia, who's somewhere else in the building right now, he loves sports. You could live without him. You have lived a very peaceful life without sports.
I think I mentioned this earlier. I was raised as a Joe Montana fan. Other than that,
that is the extent of your sports.
Yes.
But an epidemic, and I am guilty of this epidemic that has happened over. I want to say it's been the last 10, 15 years, especially right around when the internet became more accessible to everyone. Fantasy football.
Yeah.
And I'm a victim of this because pre-internet I wanted to play fantasy basketball because I back in the days when we used to buy magazines, those paper things and newspapers. Because I would buy basketball magazines.
Oh wow!
And in the back they talk about rotisserie leagues. They used to be called rotisserie basketball. I don't understand why. Yeah. I feel like I should have Googled that to find out why the fuck was it called rotisserie? Because you would take all the players and you'd pick the players and you'd make a team of your own and then you'd use the real life statistics and you judge between yourself and your friends who was better at choosing or who was luckier at choosing players.
That's the whole point of it. Like you're making a better team.
You make your own team. Okay. Yeah, you make your own team. Mm-hmm. And with this team, then you wait until so football. It's very ideal because all the football happens mostly on Sunday. Nowadays they've spread. Now there's a game going on right now with the artists formerly known as the San Diego Superchargers. I refuse to call them by their proper name. Fuck that shit. I will never call them what their actual name is. They will always be the San Diego Chargers, or the Wales Vagina Chargers, or the artist formerly known as the San Diego Chargers. They will always be the San Diego Chargers to me. Yeah. That's another... See, I'm already getting heated about it, just thinking about it. Just thinking about the goddamn Chargers makes me mad! I lost a viewer!
No.
Scared somebody off! But in this country, fantasy football has become... It's a big thing. I'm sure any podcast you listen to right now, I'm sure right now it's been all DraftKings and all sorts of ads for that. I'm sure if I put in, I could probably get a DraftKings ad for this show. I have close to 200 viewers a week. Can I get a DraftKings ad? Pay me $5 a week? They'd probably give me $5 credit to play their freaking fantasy football game.
There was an ad on TV for something.
Oh yeah, no, they're all over the place right now. Yeah, oh gosh, especially in the last 2 weeks.
There was one though that was claiming that if you did the perfect game or did something,
get $1 million. Yeah,
no, $1 billion.
$1 billion. Yeah, well, because it's literally impossible. Yeah. Oh, because a lot of these modern games now, it's like, oh, you don't even have to play against other people. You just pick a bunch of players, and if they all do well, then you win money. And if they don't do well, then you lost. It is legalized gambling now.
What to say? I don't think you can't do that, right?
Yes, you can, because you're not gambling. Huh. You are saying I can do better than you. You're not placing a wager, so to speak. You are dumping money into this thing, and if I do this well, I will get money back. Or if I suck, I lose my money.
Yeah, that's gambling.
It totally is gambling. It kind of is.
It's kind of the definition of gambling.
No, because when me and my buddies did it, and in high school, I ran, pre-internet, I actually ran a fantasy basketball league, without using the internet. So I had a subscription to the LA Times. So I was the psychopath where I was in college, and I'd be in whatever my anthropology class, and I'd have the list of everyone's players, and I'd be going through the sports page, through all the box scores, writing down, okay, how many points, how many rebounds, how many assists, and I would be tallying up all the points each day. I did it all by hand. I had this big notebook, and I had everybody's teams. And I did it all correctly on the up and up. I did not manipulate anything. One of the guys tried to call me out, he was keeping track himself, and we got together one day at Comic Galaxy. This was Silver Age Comic Galaxy. We got together, and I was like, all right, I have all the newspapers here. He had all of his, and we kept going, and then I found I maybe had one error, and he had 40.
Oh, shit.
So he's like, yeah, maybe you should be the one who keeps keeping score. I'm like, yeah, maybe I should be the one who keeps keeping score, because looks like everything here is correct.
Yeah.
So I think he used a different newspaper. He was using the USA Today, and I was using LA Times, because back in the days before the internet, we used to subscribe to newspapers. We used to get our news through paper.
Yeah, that's a long time ago now.
Yeah,
feels like a long time ago.
Feels like a long time ago. It's 20 years ago.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm old. We're old.
We're
We're getting old.
Yeah.
Time is passing us by. Time is slipping through our fingers.
Mm-hmm.
But fantasy football, it is insane now. Yeah. It's mad. It is pure lunacy now. People would always joke, it's Dungeons and Dragons for but our friend of the show, Lamar Harris, will vehemently say, hell nah, this shit ain't fucking Dungeons and Dragons. D&D makes sense. Fantasy football does not. Fantasy football is completely out of your control. Yeah. I mean, at least in Dungeons and Dragons, you get to make a decision and roll a die and hope that it works out for you. In fantasy football, it's just my inherent problem with. I mean, I've played it several times. Mm-hmm. I mean, I ran a fantasy basketball league back in the day. Yeah. I kept playing with those people until I stopped, and then the last few years, whenever someone would need someone for a league, I'm like, all right, I'd be like, all right, you know what, you need someone, I'll just draft a team and I'll try not to care, but then I always end up caring too much. Because I get a little competitive. I try not to be competitive, but I get competitive.
Yeah.
I get competitive sometimes. And then it consumes you. Because then you start, it makes you doubt yourself. You're like, oh, which person should I put in? These ethereal things. You have no idea what player is going to do great. Because at the beginning of the season, you have all these people who were really good last year. And those people will be drafted. Because, you have to get together and you have to draft.
Yeah.
Before, it used to be when you had to get together in person. The in-person drafts, that's where it was fun, because you're cussing each other out. You have to determine draft order, and you have to go down the line, and everyone has their books, and oh man, that's the player I wanted. Fuck you. Oh. I remember that was a few years ago. I joined one of the karaoke bar that closed down. I joined their fantasy football league. It was fucking expensive. It was $100 to join their goddamn league. Thankfully, I came in second place and got my money back. I was like, yes. I was quite shocked.
Yeah.
I finished second in that league, and that was the most stressful time of my life, because I'm like, I have all this money right on the line on this stupid fantasy football, this legalized gambling.
Legalized gambling. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's the most I'd ever put in. But I think other leagues I played like $5. Or the last few times I played, it was just for free. It was just for bragging rights. But friend of the show, Rick Mears, I played in his league the last few years, and this year there was no league, so I was like, okay. I was like, oh my god, I'm not playing fantasy football this year. Oh my god. I'm like, I can watch, and it's funny. It's a weird coincidence where, now that my team, the San Diego Chargers, are no longer the San Diego Chargers. They moved up here for shitty reasons.
Yeah.
They're here in Los Angeles now, and it made me very unhappy because I felt like San Diego got fucked.
Yeah.
And then so between that, I'm like, oh, I'm not really interested in watching football at this moment. Like, there's a game going on right now. I don't care. There was games yesterday. Yeah. I was working yesterday, and I really like normally I would have been like checking my phone. I would have logged in the Sunday Ticket and watched the game whenever I had a break, and I was just like,
didn't care.
Like all these things have kind of like to where like I am not caring as much about football anymore. Like the things have happened where like, oh, I don't care. Like if my friend had run the league, maybe I would have. All right, I guess I'll play, and I'd care a little bit. But now it's like, oh, I don't have to care. I'm not invested.
Yeah.
I don't have a fantasy team, and my actual team, I'm still in limbo of deciding if I'm gonna. I don't think I'm gonna support them. I kind of want to go just to go.
I'm about to say it's so weird because they're like now they're here.
I know, and that's the annoying thing. Like if 5 years ago, if they had moved here, I would have been so fucking happy. I would have been dancing. I would have freaking saved up however much money I needed to buy season tickets and gone every game. I would have made sure I wasn't working whatever Sundays to go to wherever they would have if they had come here years ago. But the circumstances of them coming here are really fucked up. Because they literally gave a middle finger to San Diego. Yeah. The NFL, they literally lost money to come up here.
Wow.
Yeah. The NFL offered them $500 million to stay. Oh, here's $500 million, build a new stadium. And then the owner's like, nah, we're going to go move into the Rams' new stadium when that gets built. We're going to L.A. Even though they used to be an LA team. They were in Los Angeles for 1 year, and then they moved to San Diego, and they were down there for 50. As far as I'm concerned, they're San Diego's team. And you know what? I always enjoyed taking my day trips to San Diego. You know, I'd go with some buddies. We go down there. We go get drunk in the gas lamp. You know, I'd be tripping out like, this is nothing like Comic-Con.
It's empty.
It's empty as hell. Every bar is empty. We can just get shit-faced everywhere. Yeah. I remember one of my buddies, Paul Grimshaw, me, him, and another Charger fan, because Paul is a Broncos fan, and we'd always go down for Chargers-Broncos. That's the game happening right now in Denver at the moment. And we go down there, we get shit-faced, we take the trolley over to the stadium, we drink some more at the stadium, like, yeah, we're watching the football, yeah! And then, of course, the Broncos would beat the Chargers. This is what happens. This is normal.
Yeah.
And then we'd take the trolley back, we'd sober up, and then we'd drive back home. We make a day of it. It was a day trip. And then for me now, it's like, oh man, I want to go down there. I want to go have some Phil's barbecue. I want to have some Lucha Libre taco shop. I like visiting San Diego.
Yeah.
I never want to stay there.
Never want to stay there. Yeah.
But I like visiting. But now it's like that's taken away from me. So you know they're at the StubHub Center. They're in the smallest stadium that an NFL team has ever been in. Normally they have 50,000, 60,000 seat stadiums. The StubHub Center in Carson. the Chargers of Carson. That's another good name for them. I'm going to call them the Carson Chargers. The Carson Chargers are playing in a stadium for 24,000 fucking people.
Wow.
I'm talking about why I don't care about football this year. Hey, what's up? Executive producer Sam C is in here. Hey, maybe you can share the sentiment with me. Do you think fuck the Chargers?
Right now, life is fucking the Chargers.
I mean, no one else needs to fuck the Chargers.
They are fucking themselves. Right now, I'm watching football masturbation.
Yeah. But, see, originally this started as me, why I don't like fantasy football anymore, but this confluence of, like, the Chargers moving here and being the Carson Chargers, me not playing fantasy football, and I don't like, inherently, I always liked playing, but conceptually, I don't like fantasy football. Yeah. It would make, here's the reason why I never really liked fantasy football. It made watching football very uncomfortable. Because then,
working.
Yeah, it's like, well, you're not cheering for a good game. You're cheering for your players to do well. Mm-hmm. And like, let's say I have X player, like such and such player, a wide receiver.
Yeah.
And whenever the quarterback would not throw to that wide receiver, I'm like, what the fuck? Throw to my guy, you fucking asshole! And I see this in my roommate. My roommate, when he's watching football, he's like he's running like 3-4 fantasy teams. See that? It's a drug. It's an addiction.
That's pretty hardcore.
Because he plays with his hometown friends in Seattle. And he plays with some of his former coworkers. He has all these different leagues. Yeah. And when you watch someone who's invested in fantasy football, watching football, it's like I feel like you're watching for the wrong reasons. Mm. It's like, oh, did my player do good? Like, oh, was it a good game? Yeah. Was it entertaining? Like the UCLA football game I went to last week. That was entertaining. Well, it was awful for 30 minutes, and then it was amazing for another 30. That's sports. That's how it works.
Yeah.
Ask anyone who watched the Super Bowl this past year.
Yeah.
That was fucking chaos. It was literally almost the same thing. It's like, oh, Atlanta's going to destroy the New England Patriots. And, New England Patriots came back. Yeah, 28-3. LOL.
See, I was thinking about it, you make yourself into like the general manager, but no, you're more like a sports agent if you think about it.
Kind of. Like, yeah, you're supposed to be a general manager, but no, you're not really a general manager. You're just an agent. You're just like, oh, what will get me the best results?
Yeah. Right?
Who will help me win the money? You're not winning games, you're winning money.
You're winning money, right? So like, I guess that's how it works. That's one way of looking at it.
Yeah, I mean, it is very frustrating.
Yeah.
And that's where I remember the last time I didn't play fantasy football was like 4 years ago. I remember like it was a very freeing year. I was like, oh, I was working at Disney. I helped one of the guys there. I would help him with, that's how I got my fix. I would help him with his team. I'd go over to his desk and we'd sit there and we'd analyze. And I'd tell him, I think so and so player is good. Yeah, you should probably get rid of that player. And that's a good move. I like your move. That's how I'd get my fix. I'd be like, yeah, got my fantasy football fix. I still cared about football, but like, this year it's weird. I cannot bring myself to care. Like I feel like I'm one of those fans where like, okay, my last straw has been broken.
Yeah.
With the move, like the stupid owner of San Diego moving up here for the wrong reasons. He moved to LA for the wrong reason. Yeah. He fucked over San Diego. Like, what did they ever do to you? Other than freaking, because there was a time where there's this crazy rule. Like this is why football secretly is in trouble. Yeah. Like there's going to be like in the next 10 to 15 years, the bubble is going to burst on football. Like right now, I guess because there's a lot of things bubbling under the surface between all the concussion stuff.
Yeah.
And then all the money that's being thrown into these stadiums, like it's a lot of times like a lot of public money. It's really chaos. Like I feel in the next 10 to 15 years, like somehow football will no longer be the number one sport. All of a sudden, it's like the bubble is going to explode, and somehow it's like football players are dying because of football. Oh, like people will understand that, and then people will start going crazy about that. And I mean, right now there's the big race thing. There's that one player who's not being allowed to play because he stood up for his beliefs, and now no one wants to hire him.
Yeah.
He's a perfectly good player, but he can't get his job because of his political beliefs.
Yeah.
So all this stuff is happening, and
meanwhile, rapists get to play the next week.
Yeah. See, thank you. Thank you for chiming in. So someone has someone is supporting his political beliefs. I like that. He was protesting police brutality, and he's been punished.
Yeah.
While other players can beat their wives and rape, and they can play.
Yeah, John Oliver talked about that.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I missed John Oliver.
Yeah, he did a whole thing on that, yeah.
So that's like there's shit like that where like the professional football thinks they're invincible. They think they can do whatever they want, and I think at some point, this is going to catch up to them, and it's going to blow up, and it's going to literally like blow up in their face, and they will no longer be like the big sport that they currently are right now.
Yeah, because he made a thing about how I forgot what player it was, but he said that one player got suspended for enhanced
performance enhancements,
and then 2 years later he got suspended again, and then it just keeps happening. Like no one says anything.
And it's insane. Yeah. But yet the player, I'm protesting police brutality, can't find a job.
Yeah,
he is fully capable of playing football.
And then, he was showing clips about like why these commentators were saying like, well, it's hard for the teams to promote this guy and this and that, and you're like, really? Like you have murderers and
you have murderers and rapists and friggin' wife beaters and like that's perfectly fine. No. Abuse against women is totally okay. What you're standing up for black people being beaten by the police? Oh no, we can't have that. Yeah. Us white owners of the NFL cannot tolerate such a thing. So it's just I feel like I never thought I'd reach that point where I didn't care about football, but like for varying reasons now, like me, like I love the Chargers. Yeah. That was my team. Somewhere like 15 years ago, all right, that's my team. Like I had been without a team for a while. Because as a kid, I was a Raider fan, and then much like my father, the Raiders left. I love saying that joke. You have no idea how much I love saying that joke. Because the Raiders are a bunch of deadbeat dads. Sorry, Raider fans. I used to be one of you when I was a kid. Then my dad left in my dad left after the Raiders. The Raiders left like in 93 or 94, and my dad left around 97 or 96. much like my father, the Raiders left, and I was kind of adrift. I didn't really have a team.
Yeah,
Until there was one player on the Chargers I really liked, this guy, LaDainian Tomlinson. I really liked him. And I decided, okay, I'm going to be a Charger fan. It was like the year they were like one win and 15 losses. So I'm like, I'm a Charger fan now. And then they were good for a while, and then they continually broke my heart. I got into this abusive relationship with the football team. Where I'd have all this hope.
Yeah.
And they'd crush me emotionally.
Emotionally.
They would emotionally hurt me really bad.
Oh, man.
Sports, you know what? You have lived a better life not caring about sports. You know that, right, Pete?
Pete, you know.
You have lived such a more rich life. I'm much happier. I feel like you've lived a happier life not caring about sports. Because sports, victory is a relief and loss is a fucking tragedy.
Oh, man.
And victory does not come, I mean, for some teams, victory doesn't come very often.
So, I mean, I guess that explains why when you know, they win big championships and they start burning cities.
Oh, people, I mean, when the Lakers would win, people fucking start setting Los Angeles on fire. And logically, it makes no sense, but people are so emotional. Their emotions are so invested in this that that's their only expression is destruction.
Yeah. I guess it makes sense.
Because I mean, some cities go forever without.
Yeah.
Like cities, their identity is based around that. Like the city of Cleveland, notoriously, they've had good teams in the past. Like they finally won a championship a couple of years ago in basketball, and now they think they're fucking great. But like prior to that, they were a city of lovable losers. Well, they were losers. Chicago, another one where specifically the baseball team, they finally won last year. They had broken a curse of 116 years. They hadn't won in forever. They hadn't won since like 1903 or some ridiculous number, like or it was 112. They haven't won since like 1803 or something. And they're always known as the lovable losers. And this whole sports and loss, it becomes an identity thing for a city. Like it's like this weird badge of honor where like I'm a fan of this horrible team. Sam Zia, his football team is not anyone local. It's the Cleveland Browns. The staple of failure. They are a team of failure, a team of sadness. The greatest joke I ever heard was a Cleveland Browns fan said, when I die, I would like 6 Cleveland Browns to be my pallbearers, so they can lay me down. They can let me down one last time.
That's pretty good.
It's the most amazing thing.
Yeah.
The relationship of fans with sports. Question? You have a question, please.
So you said there's fantasy basketball.
Yeah. Football.
Is there other sports?
They're not as frequent. There's fantasy baseball, but I did that once. That's every day.
Oh.
Because baseball's played. See, football is the easiest. Football is the easiest one because it's literally Sundays, Monday night, and Thursday night. Weirdly now.
Yeah.
So that's the easiest one to manage. You only really have to check in once a week.
Yeah.
Fantasy baseball, that's every day.
Oh.
Fantasy baseball it's literally a summer job.
Oh shit.
From April till November. Well, April till like September because you don't really play during the playoffs. So it's April through September. It is your daily job.
Wow.
I did once the internet was. I played fantasy baseball. Oh my god. You have to check your starting lineup. You have to check if there's. You gotta make sure your pitcher's not hurt. Oh, if the pitcher's hurt, you gotta dump the pitcher, get another pitcher. It is a daily grind.
Wow.
And what's insane, there's people out there who make money doing the whole fantasy sports advice. There's a guy on ESPN whose entire career is based around telling people, here's my picks of the week. These players I think are going to do good this week. These players are going to do bad.
Wow.
I have a 50% success rate.
That means nothing. That means like...
See, to a person using logic like yourself, looking from the outside in, this sounds insane, doesn't it?
Like, everybody has a 50%.
But somehow this guy, he's the fantasy expert. He's won all the leagues he's ever played in, as far as we know.
Wow, that's crazy.
It's this fantasy sports is. On some level, I feel it's become a detriment to sports itself. Because, like I said, people start carrying only about specific things and not actually enjoying football. Like I've always said, like I only enjoy football during the play. Like when I play fantasy sports, I only enjoy football during the playoffs because that means fantasy sports is over, and then you have all these important games which are leading to a championship.
Yeah.
But this fantasy football is a cancer. No, I'm sorry, Rick Mears. My attitude. I know I played in your. I did that for you because you're my bro. You needed me to play, and that's what I do. I will do something I don't like for one of my bros. That's what I do.
That's what you do.
I'm a bro.
Yeah.
I support my friends, even if they're doing something dumb to play fantasy football.
So I was just thinking about as we were talking about this, and we came up with the analogy that you're actually pretending to be an agent. Like it's just that people get invested in so many things. Like nowadays, I think it's so weird. Like nowadays, I think people like don't enjoy movies for the sake of enjoying movies. Like they, it becomes a whole thing. So like, couldn't technically you could have like fantasy movie studio or something like that, and like. It's
funny that you say that.
Oh, is that a thing already?
No, that was years ago.
Oh, really?
I used to play this thing called Hollywood Stock Exchange. I forgot which friend got me into it.
Okay.
You would predict. You would buy stocks in movies. And then if they did very well, then you'd get more money in the game.
Yeah. And
then you'd be able to buy more stocks down the line. But if the movie did very bad, then you'd lose your shirt. No. It was called Hollywood. I forgot which. One of my movie friends got me into it. This was years ago. It was like I don't know if you remember when I lived in Rosemead. I don't know if you ever came down to the compound the one birthday party I had at the compound.
Yeah, the compound.
And I remember I was playing that every day. I was like, summer Ocean's 11 was coming out because I remember that's the one where I made a killing on that one.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, there's a movie with Brad Pitt, George Clooney, Matt Damon, all these people are in the same movie. I will buy 10,000 shares.
Huh.
And then that movie came out and made them. And it was funny, like there'd be all these other things. Oh, you could buy and say, do you think this movie will make more than 100 million or not, or less than 100 million? And you could bet against movies. Oh, that movie's like right now, like I would totally bet against Transformers last night. I would say, oh yeah, the movie's gonna do bad. They have burned out Transformers. The only people who like Transformers are people in China.
But did it do it? Oh,
it did. I'm sure it did extremely well. These movies now they do extremely well overseas, but they have fantasy games. Like there is fantasy everything.
Yeah.
I remember reading about fantasy golf. I'm like, how do you play fantasy golf?
Yeah.
One of my friends, my friend Crunchy Sashimi, if he's watching on Twitch, he plays fantasy hockey.
Huh.
And that's another one where like it's every day. Like basketball is like almost every day. Like basketball requires a lot of upkeep, but it's fantasy sports, man. If you're like a big fan of a sport, then that you want to play fantasy because you know a lot. You don't just know your team. You know everything.
Yeah.
And back when I was younger, I thought I knew everything about basketball, so I wanted to play fantasy basketball. And as I got older, I've played fantasy football. I can totally I was always very proud. I don't know. I felt like I always was really good at fantasy football because I cared too much.
Yeah.
I would invest way too much time in researching which players are doing good, who's on the upswing, who's coming down. I would put all this time into it. Mm-hmm. And it's maddening. And I would get pissed. I'd see the update, like, such as player got hurt. I'd be like, fuck! My quarterback is down! Fuck you, Tony Romo! And so that's what you get for picking Tony Romo, dumbass. Like, he got me 100 fucking points. Fuck you. And it really stirs up all these weird emotions.
I guess...
it's the equivalent of nerd rage.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it gets you to feel more involved in it.
Yeah, that inherently, yes. Like defenders of fantasy football, it gets you. You will care about games that you would not have cared before. Like right now, I would have only cared about games that the Chargers would be playing, and like other games would be like, oh, if it's exciting, I'd want to watch it. But I have a player on the New Orleans Saints. I want to watch this New Orleans Saints versus the Minnesota Vikings game because I have a player that's on that team. I believe that's how my roommate, that's how he justifies. Like, it gets him to watch a bunch of games. Like, normally he would just watch Seattle Seahawks games, but he watches a lot. That's why we pay for the NFL Sunday ticket. Sundays, I'll sit in my room flipping. I'll watch Red Zone channel, and like he'll be flipping back and forth and getting the updates on his players, watching them live.
All right. At that point, I can kind of see how it works and why people get into it.
But I feel it. But then me, I come from the more of the cynical side where like, I feel it makes people watch football for the wrong reasons. Like,
yeah, I can see that too.
Or it's like, yeah, like where you're, or the worst thing I've ever felt while playing fantasy football is I hate the New England Patriots for many reasons. I don't like them, and then whenever I always end up having for fantasy purposes, I have to get a Patriot on my team. I'm like, fuck, I have to cheer for this team I don't like. And I feel it causes this conflict where, like, if you have a player from a team that you don't like, or like you're cheering for a team that you inherently hate.
Yeah.
That'd be like watching the Avengers. Like, I'm cheering for Loki.
Yeah.
That'd be the nerd equivalent.
Yeah.
Or I'm watching Rick and Morty. I'm cheering for Jerry.
Yeah.
I want Jerry to do good because I'm invested in that.
Yeah.
That would be the nerd equivalent of like that's like anytime I have to cheer for the I have to cheer for the freaking Patriots. I have to hope the Raiders do good. For the times I've had Broncos, like oh shit, this Bronco's really good. It behooves me in fantasy football to take this Bronco. It behooves me to take this Patriot. I'm like, like there was one year I picked Tom Brady. I'm like, he's gonna be angry all season. And he did really well that year. But it hurt my soul.
Yeah. No.
Because I had to hope Tom Brady. I always want Tom Brady to do bad. I don't like Tom Brady. He's a shithead. That's why I don't like fantasy football. It causes all kinds of weird conflict. And then some people say, no, I would never pick a player from my rival. And that's why you finish in 8th place. Yeah. Because you stick to your beliefs. You know what I believe?
What's that?
I believe we're done.
Yeah.
I believe. Every time I think, oh man, I'm not going to have enough to talk about. Every time I come in, there's stuff on the sheet we didn't get to. Stuff for next week, I guess.
There you go.
You can always follow Pete Malini at nostalgic_books. You can follow me at Dre GP Podcast. You can follow Executive Producer Sam, who's floating in the ether out here, at SamZ570. For whoever was watching on Twitch, I believe it's Chanel. I can't see the screen. It's kind of, we're in a tight studio. This is a tiny studio. It's a small studio. Yeah. Look how, like, normally we're pretty far apart. This time we're kind of like banging knees and shit. As usual, you can always catch us here Monday nights. Dre's Geek Philosophy. You can watch us here on Facebook as you're watching right now, or you can watch us on twitch.tv/Dre GP Podcast. We're here on Wednesday nights on Facebook for Pete's Show, the Multiverse Comic Show. If you like comic books, if you want some in-depth talk, as my friend Ryan Rios, who's watching right now, you want some Lost in the Woods comic book talk? Yeah. Show up here Wednesday nights in the 8 o'clock hour. We will talk comic books. And that's also on Facebook.com/Dre GP Podcast. On Saturday nights, I fire up my old Super Nintendo. I point my Facebook camera at that TV, and I do Dre versus Super Nintendo. Currently, still playing Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. I'm having a good-ass time, and I'm getting my ass kicked by that game, but it is awesome. Tune in on Saturday nights. All the videos are archived here on the Facebook page. If you're watching on Twitch or listening on Facebook, again, Facebook.com/Dre GP Podcast. All of our videos are archived there for your enjoyment. That's pretty much it. That's the show. We did the show. We did the thing. For Pete Malini, for the ethereal Sam Zia, who's not here, I am Dre Cervantes. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate those of you who really chimed in, who showed up. Ryan Rios, Rick Mears, Kit Pham, Joanna Morales, Joseph Gasparian, Harold Hall, all you guys who chimed in, who showed up live. I really appreciate when you guys show up live. Be sure to share this video with your friends so everyone can watch it later after the fact. Help us get more views. That helps us. Eventually, I can con someone into sponsoring the show. Because, good God, sometimes with this content in the show, I don't know if we're ever going to sponsor. But hey, you never know. You know, a weed dispensary. Maybe I'll get stamps.com.
Stamps.com.
or maybe I'll get maybe after today's episode, I won't get DraftKings.com.
Might not be.
Might not get them.
Might not happen.
So, thank you for watching. Have a good night. Peace.